Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there of the world, especially those of you out here in Kansas City?
Yeah, baby.
Oh, here we are back once again at the Sports Buffoon Studios. Did we have a little glitch in the intro, Tanner? Was that a thing?
I don't know what happened.
That was strange. Like it was the intro starting, and then all of a sudden there was like a pause.
It just stopped.
And I was like, did everything just die? But no, apparently we're good. We are ready to Royal Rumble.
It
this
continued.
whole thing. So, well, anyways, guys, I'm glad we're all here once again together. Obviously, once again, another big week of the NBA. A little bit of Chiefs news from the mini camps. And, hey, I think the Royals, did they get a win today?
Did they actually pull it out?
I think they might have got a win. I don't know.
I'll look it up real quick here.
That'd be maybe lucky.
It's
also not important, but it will be a small topic in today's show.
No, they're 1-0, top of the fourth.
Oh.
Casey's up at least, so.
Top of the fourth? Okay, well, they're going to screw that up. We already know that, so. Anyways, guys, JG, you just poured yourself a drink over here. What do you have going on over there?
I've got the Bullet right now, and it's a pre-made Manhattan cocktail made with straight rye whiskey, sweet vermouth, and bitters. Just thought I'd give it a shot.
Very, very nice.
That sounds good.
Tanner, what are you sipping on over there? Is that a Diet Pepsi?
It is a Diet Pepsi with a straw.
This is dad mode. This is full dad mode for Tanner, to where it's just like at this point in his life, it's just where we're sipping on gin and juice, but mainly just juice.
Hey, man. Hey, we got a big weekend coming up, so I'm not trying to be like you guys.
Be like us guys.
I'm trying to actually wait, and I'm going to enjoy it this weekend. But I'm not going to get too hammered right
Tanner, act like it's your college years and just...
Oh, man. I don't know if I can do that right now.
Well, big weekend, speaking of that, guys. We are headed off to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
This is our yearly guys trip, buffoons trip, whatever you want to call it. And, yes, there's some buffoonery that goes on out there, of course. Obviously, a lot of breweries, Tanner. One of our first favorite breweries we ever went to was Dead Armadillo out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We also love American Solera. Prairie Artisan Ales is one that used to be there, now is just in Oklahoma City. So I'm looking forward to this, absolutely. Jason, what are you most looking forward to in our Tulsa trip?
I mean, it's always Prairie Artisan Ales. I mean, I'm an Imperial Stout guy. So I look forward to that place every time we go down. It's no longer in Tulsa, but they do have the brewery there in Oklahoma City. So we're going to hit that up. Mm-hmm. Second favorite is American Solera by far. So, and after that, everything is just like the whipped cream on top of the cake.
After that, is it just all about the River Spirit Casino?
Oh, I don't really do too much gambling down there. I want to keep it under control.
You're more of the band person, right? You like to sit over there at the tiki bar?
Yes.
With the live band going on at night.
Yeah, I just want to chill, maybe hang out with some ladies, and I don't want to do too much gambling tonight when we get down there, because as we all know, the casino has the advantage. So I'm not going to mess with that.
Right. You want to relax. If you're spending your money on gambling, you're throwing it away. I mean, you're not going to make any money gambling, so
you might as well just go to a strip club, because you're going to throw your money away there too. I mean, that's better than going to the casino and throwing your money away.
At that point, it's a charity. You're giving your money to hookers instead of Just kidding. I mean, maybe I'm serious. I don't know.
Entertainers, by the way.
Entertainers. Tanner, thank you so much. That is the 2022 way of saying strippers. Appreciate that very much. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoy some of our nonsense we do, because that's what we do. That's what we do here. We're not here to take everything super seriously. That's why we are the buffoons. The buffoons. That's why we sip on some whiskey. That's why we have a cocktail here and there, or 5. But, that's besides the point. We care about sports. We care about the Chiefs. We care about what's going on in the NBA playoffs right now, which means the Celtics are whooping the ass right now of the Milwaukee Bucks, which I'm very happy about at the moment. But, guys, let's break it down real quick. So we have a lot to talk about in the show, obviously. But first and foremost, you guys seen the thumbnail. You guys out there watching. We have some hot takes today. We have some opinions about what's going to happen here in the rest of the NBA playoffs, how this is going to unfold.
It's NBA Hot Take Wednesday.
Hot Take Wednesday?
Hot Take Wednesday.
Does Wednesday matter? Is that a thing?
I don't know. It's Wednesday. That's all I know.
It is Wednesday.
That's all I got.
It is Wednesday. But if you're watching on a Thursday, then it could be Hot Take Thursday for those out there listening. So... anyways, we're all spicy over here today, I think, a little bit. We're all getting a little excited. having some gin, sip and sip. Now, Jason, tell me, going here into the playoffs, we've seen some of this thing unfold. We saw 3 out of the 4 series currently going on go to 2-2. The Warriors are the only team up 3-1 right now. But I want to know, just give me your juiciest, spiciest hot take currently right now for the NBA playoffs going forward.
Well, I feel like this time of year, which is my favorite time of year in sports, I always have tons of hot takes. But I'm going to try to condense this for you guys because I have to start out with the hot topic of the day, which is the fact that the Philadelphia 76ers are now down in that series to Miami, 3-2. And that is something that a lot of us did not predict. I mean, I think a lot of people, even when they saw Joel Embiid come back and they saw that he was going to play after game 2, they thought, well, Philly's going to take care of business now. And they did for the first 2 games. But most people thought that they would take care of business in that next game. And they actually, none of those players showed up. Miami beat them 120-85. And it was a disaster for the 76ers. James Harden had 14 points, which is like nothing for him. I mean, he wasn't even jacking up shots. He was 5 of 13. Joel Embiid didn't really show up either. He had 17 points on 7 of 12 from the field. And so my hot take right now is like, I think a lot of people really thought that after that previous game, when James Harden exploded onto the scene, they thought, we're going to get the old James Harden back. And I kind of thought the same thing too, but what happened is instead of getting the old James Harden back in this last game, we got James Larden back into the fold, where he doesn't show up to the games, where he might be, maybe a little bit out of shape, okay, maybe not taking good care of his diet, maybe, I don't know what he's doing, hanging out at the clubs or whatever.
Jason, think about how awful other teams have treated him. He's been going through a lot of things in his life. I mean, just listen to the way he cries, and I understand. I sympathize with how upset he's been over the past 3 years.
Well, I will give him credit for that, because as far as going through things in his life, he's had to deal with playing with Kyrie Irving, or the lack thereof, or the disaster that we call the Brooklyn Nets. So he had to deal with that shit.
All because
I don't know how long.
Couldn't find a way to comply.
Wait. Can we just all agree that James Harden brought this upon himself to be James Larden? Between the Rockets,
it's stress. I think whenever this thing happens in life, a lot of it is due to stress and turmoril. And he's undergone a lot of.
He's done it himself.
Harden has undergone hardship. So I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. That's why he's put on some pounds.
I'm not going to blame him for that, because I think we all in this world, at some point in your life, you're going to fall victim to being like conned into something. And I think that KD and Kyrie Irving were con artists. They conned him into going to the Nets and being like, oh, this is like a championship on a silver platter. And then it didn't happen. And then James Harden didn't know what to do with himself. Meanwhile, the JG is sitting right here getting ready to give you my hot take, which is the fact. This is not my opinion. It's a fact. James Larden will never win an NBA championship in his entire career. He's a great regular season player, a la Peyton Manning back in the day. The only difference is Peyton Manning eventually got over the hump. That's not going to happen here. James Harden he's not in great physical condition right now. He's not at that age where I think he can turn it around. Now, I hope he proves me wrong, because he's still got Joel Embiid on his team for the foreseeable future. But, I just don't see it happening. The only way, I'll give him a 1% chance of winning a championship for the rest of his life. And the only way that's going to happen is if he plays until he's 40 and he's just not even in a rotation. He's just on some elite team that wanted to have James Larden as his 12th man, as the 12th man on the bench. That's the only chance that he has, because he has no chance. He's not going to win a championship.
Well, when he's 40, he's going to be Humpty Dumpty. So, I mean,
He's Humpty Dumpty right now.
I mean,
Have you seen the guy? Have you looked at him? He's Humpty Dumpty right now.
We talk about Chris Paul getting old, and he's 37. Like, talking about James Harden, imagine him being 40, how that's going to turn out. So, anyways, Tanner, what do you think about this?
Can we give him a different comparison of quarterback? Can we do Matt Ryan? Because at least Matt Ryan didn't win a championship.
I think Matt Ryan's actually pretty fair.
Matt Ryan's a pretty accurate.
Because Matt Ryan actually had
Put some big numbers.
Matt Ryan had an MVP season in his career, as a matter of fact.
Same with James.
No. I'm not going to give you that because Matt Ryan, as far as we can tell, is still in a really great shape.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, on the other hand, he was in decent shape, but he had bulky ankles. So he wasn't able to perform at a high level, a la James Larden, who is out of shape and unable to perform at a high level.
Physicality, then, like how they're feeling physically.
It's however you want to take it. I'm just saying Matt Ryan that would not be my first comparison because he looks like a guy that takes care of his body.
No, but here's the thing: Peyton Manning's body was literally breaking down at the end.
I mean,
to where he couldn't throw past 30 yards. And in
I
Matt
agree
Ryan's
with you.
case, at least the guy still can be decent, but he's still probably not the player he was 5 years ago, back when he went to the Super Bowl.
I agree with you on Peyton Manning. That was not his choice that his body broke down. James Harden
has a choice.
It might be by his choice, but it's the same exact thing. It doesn't matter if it's your choice or not. Their bodies were breaking down. Great regular season players, horrible in the playoffs. Any of you guys out there, have you ever trusted James Harden in the playoffs? What has he accomplished? Has he ever made it to the finals? No.
Oh.
I don't trust the guy.
No.
Nobody's ever going to trust the guy. That's why he's never going to win a ring.
Do you think he cares too much about the strippers? Is that what it is?
That may be a part of the problem. I will give you that, because if I was in his shoes, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't be going to strip clubs all the time. With that much money, you could just make it rain. Who doesn't want to make it rain? Okay,
I mean, look at Dennis Rodman back in the day.
Seriously, who of you out there in the audience?
Well, Dennis was distracted, but he was in good physical shape for quite a while, I thought. So
I think that's his problem. He wants to make it rain too much, a la Pac-Man Jones.
Ooh, now is that a comparison we're talking about now? Harden to Pac-Man?
Maybe.
Interesting.
All right, back to the point here. I agree with Jason here. James ain't going to win a championship. It's not going to be with the 76ers. It's not going to be with anybody else. So he might as well just call it quits here in a year or two. And
if he was ever going to do it, it would have been back in the day with OKC Thunder.
It would have been.
That would have been his only opportunity.
It would have been the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook agreement.
And Steven Adams. Thank you very much.
I love Steven Adams. Such a beast. And it was a young Steven Adams, too.
Adams, of course.
So, by the way, the only way I bring this up is because it's in hopes that James Larden will listen to this show and then somehow get motivated to turn back into James Harden and play better. That would be my ultimate goal of this discussion, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Right, but he's upset and oppressed, so he can't do that.
Here we go. This Boston game, Milwaukee is coming down in the last minute again. Man,
all right, Tanner, we'll talk about that here in a minute. So I want to hear your hot take, though. So Jason gave us a hot take about Harden, whatever. I get it. I agree with it, actually, too. But I'm sure you have something juicy for us as well.
I do. The Boston Celtics defeat the Bucks here. Hopefully, this is right with this game going on, but defeat the Bucks series and goes on to win the NBA championship.
Celtics to win the championship?
Celtics win the championship.
Wow.
This series that they're facing with Milwaukee is a whole different take here, because this is pretty much your possible NBA champion right up next to the Suns and Warriors possibly. Mm-hmm. But these guys have been going at it game, they're 2-2. Somebody's going to go 3-2 here. They're going to probably go full 7. And I think Boston comes out of the series, and if they do, they're going to be NBA champs.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Tested.
I have something similar that I want to say about that, Tanner. And the thing is, for me, I do see also the NBA Finals coming down to two of the great young players in the NBA right now. And right now we're watching Boston play against the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Milwaukee Bucks were obviously last year's champions. If the Boston Celtics go out and finish this series off, if they can get this victory pulled out, they'll be up 3-2. Assuming they can win, obviously, one more of those. They move on to face the Heat, who I do not believe in personally, or the 76ers, who I think are a disaster in a lot of ways that are also overlooked.
Just count them in. If you have
And
to
so
face
for me,
76ers.
you're looking at a well-rounded team like the Celtics who have their shit together. And I see that team dominating whether they play the Heat or whether they play the 76ers. But what we're going to have to see here is that we'll be seeing Jason Tatum versus Devin Booker in the NBA Finals. But that's not my hot take.
Can I help you one more on that?
Go ahead.
Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown versus
Sure.
Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Yeah.
It's a combo deal in the Celtics.
Yeah, Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton.
So-
I mean, you could go down the list of comparisons as far as just ability, I should say, on the court anyway.
I mean, it would be a fun matchup.
Defensively, it'd be a lot of fun because we're talking about right now the number one defense in the league, which was the Celtics all year long, going against the team that had the best point differential in the league, which was the Phoenix Suns all year long. But that's not my hot take. My hot take is actually, I'm going to go with you, Tanner. I think the Celtics win the NBA Finals this year over the Phoenix Suns.
Whoa!
And Jason Tatum goes out and gets a victory over Devin Booker, and where Devin Booker goes to 0-2 for his career. And Tatum, at 23 years old, begins his legacy of taking off and potentially winning 2 or 3 more. All I'm going to say about this is that the Celtics are currently doing their deed against the Bucks in a way that the Suns couldn't do 1 year ago. I understand the Bucks are missing Chris Middleton right now, but the Celtics team is solid and well-rounded. So that's why I like them. That's why I like them over the Warriors, if that was to come down to it. I like the Celtics to win this whole thing regardless of who they're playing. But in particular, I think the Suns get there because I think the Suns just have it down. I think that they're more well-rounded of a team, and chemistry-wise, they don't have as many internal issues as the Warriors do personally.
So you went specific on this one.
Yeah.
Your Suns, Celtics, and then
But Celtics still winning the finals this season. I see them as the best team in the league because defense wins championships.
Yeah, I'm going to say that both of you guys are full of shit right now because the Celtics, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, which also just so happens to be a fact, are not going to make it out of this fucking series because right now we're looking at 105-99. And guess what, dude? The Celtics, if they win this game, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't mean shit. What does it mean? You won 2 games in a row. That's all it means. But, Mike, I talked to you about this earlier on the fact that when Middleton is out of the rotation being injured, Drew Holiday is kind of the main catalyst here because we know that Giannis is basically like 2 superstars in one. We know what we're going to get from him night in, night out. He's got 36 points right now, but the catalyst is going to be is going to be Drew Holiday. So Drew Holiday right now, at least he showed up, and that was my whole point in this series is like Drew Holiday has played like ass this whole series, and I said if he would at least show up, that the Bucks would at least be able to make this a competitive series and at least give Giannis some resemblance of help, and he's actually doing that right now. He's 8 of 23 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. He's got 8 assists,
21 points.
So he actually showed up to the game, and I think that's a big deal. Win or lose in this Game 5, we all know that the Bucks are going to win. I mean, they're the defending champs. Do you really think the Bucks are going to lose a Game 6 on their home court with or without Middleton? No, it's not going to happen.
No, but I think this does go to Game 7, and I like the Celtics absolutely to win Game 7.
If it goes to Game 7, I'm going to take the Bucks because they're the defending champs, and they have that championship pedigree, and they have the best player not on the court, not on his own team, but in the NBA, which is not Tanner Nikola Jokic. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Well, he's MVP.
Best player in the league.
Wow. I agree with
Best
Jason
player
on
in the
that.
league.
I agree with Jason on that.
Best player in the league.
Nikola Jokic thing is bullshit, and the true better player of it honestly is Giannis. I'd even take Embiid over.
Giannis can be the best player in the league and still not win MVP. It's okay.
Jokic is the 3rd best player in the league, if that.
I do want to say something also to you, Jason. It was only 2 or 3 weeks ago that we had this discussion, and we told you that Jokic was going to win the MVP. Absolutely. And the reason being, the NBA wanted him to win the MVP. So, and I told you guys about the terrible twos. NBA wants to follow their patterns. Now, he won't win it next year because the terrible twos are over. Next year, it's going to be somebody else. But they like to do repeats. And I pointed out that pattern recently to you guys.
Yeah.
And it came true once again.
You guys did see, though, that Jokic does, in his one series, average 31 points per game in the series. It's not like he wasn't doing his job. You don't have a team to win the series. So, I mean, if you want to talk playoff, there you go.
He's the best player on the court.
He doesn't have a team anyway, Tanner.
No.
Jamal Murray is a declining player that gets injured every year. Michael Porter Jr. is a declining player that never even made it on the court. So I don't want this narrative of, oh my gosh, you didn't have Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray hasn't done anything in like years.
But see, that's the thing we're talking about, Jokic, is the fact that we're talking about these bum players that are probably bench players coming off. Michael Porter Jr. It's just going to be all hype his entire career.
All right, get ready for this, guys. We got to watch this live.
45 seconds left.
Tie game.
Drew Holiday.
Tie game.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, it does not matter who wins this game. The Bucks are the best team without Middleton on the court. As long as Drew Holiday, like I said, if he shows up, he's got to play well for the rest of the series. If he does that, the Bucks win.
Giannis with his blood on his cheek going down from his eye.
So Mr. AC here he's asking, it's hard for me to read from here.
He says, how's the viewership of the playoffs this year versus other years?
No, AC,
and what's the difference?
AC and I spoke earlier, I think yesterday or today, and we talked about how he feels, like this has been a down year for the NBA, I guess, because of some of the way the rules are and all this and that. I get that. I mean, if you grew up watching the NBA and you watch the more physical version of the NBA, it can be tough to adjust to the 3-point era. I don't know about the viewership, though. I don't really know how that's going, but I will say it's probably better than the MLB because it's hard to get much worse than that. So I'm going to assume that the NBA is doing okay.
The bottom line is that the NBA and the NFL run this country, and MLB is declining, and that's pretty much all you need to know, because when the MLB declines year to year, all of those viewers are going to the NFL and or the NBA.
No, and I want to add you one more, the NHL. Those viewers
absolutely.
The NHL is on the rise.
Absolutely.
So according to Deadline.com, the coverage of the NBA playoffs through ESPN, ABC, TNT through last Thursday is up 23% from last year, and it's up 29% from 2019. So it sounds like things are actually doing pretty well.
No offense to my man, but you're probably having a hard time because you like the Lakers, and they are a piece of shit team. So I'm guessing that could be where some of the frustration comes
A lot of trade rumors out there. Let's see what happens. A lot of trade rumors.
Well, I have something I want to talk about. I'm going to be talking about LeBron later on in this show, as a matter of fact, for a couple minutes. But all right, so
he's not in the playoffs.
Nope, but I have something I want to say about him later on in the show. Not quite yet, Tanner. Anyways, guys. All right, this game's tied. I know. Let's pay attention to it off to the side here and butt in when something changes. We're obviously down to the wire. We have 30 seconds left. It's going to be Foul City out there.
Boston just took the lead.
All right, guys. So moving along here to something else I want to talk about here is kind of intermittently while we watch the wrap of this Boston-Milwaukee game. But Justyn Ross, wide receiver from Clemson, has obviously gone now to the Chiefs, now been a part of the mini camp. He was an undrafted free agent wide receiver. And at one point in his career in Clemson as a freshman was looked at as being, eventually a first-round pick. And the guy made great catches, great plays, and then ended up having a neck vertebrae type of surgery. It was something very rare. I can't remember exactly what it was again right now at the moment while I'm speaking. But it was something that basically set him back, obviously. It was something in the neck area that was going to prevent him from proper rotation of his neck.
It's called, Ross had a congenital fusion in his spine, condition he was born with called Klippel-Feil syndrome.
I believe it's some of the bones in the neck are fused together.
Yep.
Is what ends up happening on that. And he was born that way. He didn't know about it until the last 2 years. But regardless, guys, he also had an injury once again this past season, and he's been working through that. He skipped the combine, but his pro day, he did work out in that. Did not put up great numbers. Ran a 4.64 at the 40. But overall, just did not do great the skills test. But my question to you guys is, do you guys believe, Tanner, I'm going to go with you first. Do you think Justyn Ross can make the 53-man roster on this Chiefs team, considering the additions they've made at the receiver, which is going to be more depth than before? It's going to be tough to make this team. Do you think he has a chance?
I think. I definitely think he does have a chance, but it's going to be pretty difficult. Let's go down the way real quick, guys. Juju Smith, starter, right? He's going to be on the team. Cole, obviously on the team. And Marquez Scantling on the team.
MVS. Just call him MVS.
By the way, he likes to be called Marquez. So whenever you say his name, he likes Marquez.
Okay, that's good to know. Josh Gordon. Do we think he makes the roster?
That's okay. Hold on. So keep going, but you're onto something here.
Okay. Therese Fountain.
Yes.
Sky Moore.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. There's 5.
Okay. Here's the deal.
There's 5.
No, but I think you're missing a guy because you're missing. There's going to be 6 receivers on this team, I believe.
Okay. So then Cornell Powell.
No, hold on.
Who
here's the deal. Here's part of the issue we're going to run into here. Justyn Ross is not going to be a guy that plays special teams for the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Gordon also does not play special teams for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Correct.
But here's the real toss-up, in my opinion. You're looking at a guy of Josh Gordon who you already know what you have with him. He played substantially last year, didn't do hardly anything at all, while even getting some starting time with the offense. And the team at one point cut him and then brought him back on the roster a few days later. I think you know what you have in Josh Gordon. I understand we loved what he was back in 2015, but
it's a full offseason now. It's not like just in the middle of the season.
He's had off seasons. He's had off seasons.
He's had off seasons, but not off season with Mahomes, and like he's been out there with Mahomes.
He also had opportunities with the Chiefs on the field, and he was not catching the ball. I mean, even I don't want to say catching. I mean, even his hands were not there. He wasn't making.
We
plays.
know that.
Justyn Ross, I'd rather go with the unknown than I would with what we know of Josh Gordon. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I would much rather do that. So I don't know what Jason's doing right now. Jason got up from the set.
I think we got some breaking news coming into play.
I don't know if it's breaking news. We have 14 seconds left.
Well, this is also streamed, so I'm behind.
Oh, you're
TV. Announce it live. Tanner, be the announcer.
Hang on. Let me pull her up on the official NBA here. Well, it's still.
Giannis missed his second free throw, and then Bobby Portis had a putback.
I was like, this is even behind here.
All right, so there's a little putback.
It's not over yet.
So
we got time still.
Jason's
not over yet.
Back to Justyn Ross. I mean, I just think that like it. I think he's going to make the team because I just don't trust Josh Gordon to be anything. I think you look at the fact that at his pro day, Justyn Ross didn't really look that good, but he stated that he was dealing still with that foot injury. And so I think I view Justyn Ross as a diamond in the rough, and we got to see what we can get out of this guy for sure. And I think if he flashes something in training camp, I mean, the other guys are gone. We already know Corey Coleslaw, as I like to call him. He's gone. And I do believe that if it comes down to a scenario where it's between Josh Gordon and Justyn Ross, I think that Justyn Ross, we're going to keep him on the roster.
We got to work on your counting skills, by the way, again, because you counted off some guys, but we're working with the 6th receiver here. We're talking about him making the 6th position.
I know. That's why I'm just going down the way, make sure I got everybody.
Fountain makes this team because of his special teams. He's going to be on special teams on this team.
4, 5.
And then the 6th.
And then the 6th is going to be a debate between Josh Gordon, Cornell Powell, Corey Coleman, and Justyn Ross.
Right. That is kind of the mixed bag right there. My thought is that we already know about Josh Gordon. We already know what he can do. Justyn Ross, on the other hand, we don't. But if you want my true opinion on this whole thing, it's that I hope he makes the team, but it's unlikely. I do not think Justyn Ross actually makes the roster. I think he is put on the practice squad, and the Chiefs hope to retain him going forward and just kind of go from there with him because I think that there's just a lot of things to learn. He's kind of rough around the edges at the moment and a lot to learn in the offense. And Gordon could probably provide some more things in the blocking game.
Right. So are we looking also at Cornell Powell essentially as practice squad guy?
I think at this point we can chalk up Cornell Powell to maybe just not being a hit in the draft.
Okay.
And probably just get a guy who's not going to make it, especially with this roster.
Right quick, before we move on, I just want to say that the guy that I just talked about, which was Drew Holiday, which I told you guys must show up in this series, he just blocked a shot he blocked Marcus Smart's shot, and now the Bucks are ahead 108 to 107. So this game is coming down to the wire, and it's going to be wild. It's going to be a wild finish.
Right. I mean, it is. We're working with, is it 6 seconds left on the game? 6.6 seconds?
6.6.
Yep.
Boston's going to have to make a shot here. Otherwise, this is definitely I will say Milwaukee came back
I think
in
it's
this game.
Yeah, I think it's Milwaukee's ball, isn't it?
Well, hold on. You said that
Drew Holiday got the rebound.
Blocked?
It should be the Bucks' ball. The Bucks have the ball.
Yeah, I thought you said he blocked Marcus Smart.
He blocked the shot, but he also got the rebound.
Oh, okay. Got you. All right. Well, we will see how that goes. As you guys know with the NBA, some of these last 10 seconds can last 10 hours, but, you know.
And we also know that the officials can make a lot of interesting decisions in these games.
And while we're waiting, by the way, the Royals, how's your feelings on them?
Oh, gosh, the Royals. You know, what did you get? Did you pull up the score, Tanner? Are they still
I don't care about right now, guys. I care about the state of the Royals.
I like to get it. It's 3-0, middle of the fifth.
All right, so we're gonna win. Okay, good job.
No, we're not gonna win. We're gonna find a way to lose.
Well, I would just say, like I stated a couple of weeks ago, like you've got to trade away your big pieces because it's all about the future right now. You're not going to win anything this year, even if you get lucky. If all of the luck falls on your side and you get lucky and you make a wild card, you're not going to do anything. This is all about the future. And so Benintendi is batting .327. So that's a guy that we need to move and get some assets. And at this point, I'm ready to sell the farm. You guys know this. I talk about it all the time. You know, Brad Keller, 2.70 ERA. Trade him. Get some assets. Get what you can. Scott Barlow, 1.46 ERA. We need to move as many pieces as we can so that we can bring in assets who are going to play in the future with guys like Bobby Witt Jr., okay? So we've got all these guys that are going to be the future of the Royals. You know, we've got to have some assets and some prospects that are going to be willing to play with these guys like Melendez. And, you know, we just need to build for the future. I mean, if you're not going to win now, then what's the point? There's no point in keeping any of these guys except for maybe Salvador Perez because, I understand he's batting 196 right now, but he's kind of the face of the franchise. So you got to keep him here, keep the fans in the seats and all that stuff. But, you know, Whit Merrifield, batting 139, if he somehow turns things around before the trade deadline, you got to move guys like that because we need to have a sense of urgency about the future because the present is going nowhere fast.
Well, breaking news for you, Jason. They
Bucks
did it.
won.
The Bucks won.
Okay.
Bucks won the
Came
game.
back and won.
Okay.
That was a great comeback, by the way. I do want to say that.
That's pretty good.
That was good.
Yeah, I mean,
Solid comeback.
I don't know why I had that feeling. I think part of it was just the fact that the Celtics were able to win on the road. And I just had this feeling that the Bucks might be able to do the same thing. But, you know, this has 7 games written all over it. I thought that the Bucks were the better team. They might be able to close this thing out in 6, which now they actually have a shot at doing that. But we know how, like, the referees like to take control of games
even
and
things
things
out
like
here.
that.
That was
So,
such a reach.
you know, like, why in the hell on God's green earth would I even pick the Bucks to win in 6 now? We know the referees are not going to allow that to happen. So this has 7 games written all over it.
Right. So,
all right. So
go ahead.
just for Merrifield ain't going nowhere because of the extension he signed this year. So we already know that. So let's take a minute here and let's see what the Royals were up against this last month, essentially, since their last one series. Last one series was in April 19th through the 21st. They beat the Twins 2 out of 3 games. Okay. That was the last time they won. Seattle, playoff team. Chicago, playoff team. New York Yankees, playoff team. Monsters right now. St. Louis, a playoff team. Baltimore is your only team that you played against and you lost in series right now. That shouldn't have happened at all. So they are playing pretty solid teams. And the Royals are probably tied for the worst team in the league Period. Like, they are not good. Pitching is not good. Hitting is not good. It's nowhere there. Like, it's pathetic. We thought the hitting would be great this year, and there's nothing. Barely any crooked numbers on the board. It's not going to be good.
I think if you're the GM of the Royals right now, you're confused about what to do and where to put the lineup. I mean, you're looking across the board. Whit Merrifield is supposed to be your number one leadoff guy, right? Or Nicky Lopez, one or the other. And Merrifield's batting 139. Nicky Lopez is batting 210. This is a joke. I mean, the guys who are supposed to be on-base guys are not getting the job done. And Bobby Witt Jr. is batting 220. Whatever. Fine. It's your first few games in the majors. Whatever. We're not upset about that. I'm upset about the guys who've been here for a while who are just straight up shitting the bed. Andrew Benintendi's playing great. Why is it the rest of this damn team is just folded?
They're not good players. They're not.
No, but here's the thing, Tanner. No, good. Last year, what did Nicky Lopez bat? What was his batting average?
I don't know.
300. Whit Merrifield bats 280.
Out of how many at bats? That's what I'm saying.
No, but guys, he was our 9-hitter. But, like, look, here's the thing. Going from 300 to 210 is a big difference.
That's what baseball is, though.
Tanner, but going from 280 to 139, it's obviously...
That's baseball.
They're going to even out over time.
Dude.
No, but here's the thing. You can't say they're not good players. Merrifield has been a good player for this team in the past.
Yeah.
What has changed this year?
I don't know.
Just a year older.
Into it.
But it doesn't mean he's a bad player all of a sudden.
Tanner, just let me ask you one question, Tanner. Let me ask you a question. If you have guys like Melendez, Nick Prado, Bobby Witt Jr., why would you not build for the future and get as many prospects as you can to be able to play with those guys? Because the guys that we have right now...
Are you saying trade or bring them up?
I'm saying trade your assets right now. Like
those guys?
No, trade Benintendi.
I'm
saying like trading guys like Benintendi who have value.
Because you need some kind of veteran presence in there.
You don't need shit this year because you're not going to win anything.
You still need veteran presence in the clubhouse. Or
you've got Salvador Perez and Whit Merrifield.
You see what Tanner said? He said,
you know what?
He said you still need veteran presences or
we have that. You know who that is?
Things going to fall apart.
We do have that.
It's already falling apart.
You know who that is? It used to be called Hit with Wit. Now it's called Shit with Wit. Okay? That's the veteran presence that you're talking about. We've got to build for the future now. We got to do it now.
Do you want a shitty veteran batting 139 who we just gave a 2-year extension to on this team?
This isn't football. This isn't anywhere near related to football.
Okay,
this is baseball right here.
What do you explain? Go ahead.
This is baseball. This is a slow-moving game. There's 100.
That's why it sucks.
62. Yes.
What?
This is streaks.
Tell me.
Streaks. Hitting streaks are bad. You're going to get guys in the slump. You're going to go from 280. You can't keep it at
correct.
That's what I'm saying. You said that Whit Merrifield's a bad player.
I still think he's a good player.
I understand.
All right, he's a good player. He's not a great player.
Hey,
how about that?
I get the hitting slumps, but my point is when those slumps are over and these older guys start hitting well, you need to trade them and get some value because they're not going to win you a World Series. Newsflash, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
It's not going to happen this year, next year, the year after, or the year after that.
Hell no. So get some damn prospects.
We need guys that are going to be here 5, 6 years from now.
So the long-standing rumor for the Royals is next year is supposed to be part of our year again. We're supposed to be back in the playoffs come next year.
Next year?
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen.
Where are the pitching guys on this roster that are going to bring us to the playoffs? Because that's how the Royals in the past, in 2013, 14, 15, got to the playoffs.
Brady Senior's still sitting in the Double-A right now.
That's fine.
So
I'm not going to try. I don't want to trade Brady Singer.
No, that's what I'm saying. He should be there.
He's fine.
MLB.
Zach Greinke is fine because he said he wants to finish his career.
I do want to say this: Daniel Lynch looks improved this year, based from last year's. But Zach Greinke's not going to be here for when it matters. No. So Zach Greinke's he's pitched great, like he always does. So our pitching staff going forward is Daniel Lynch and
Bubic.
Maybe.
Yeah, Bubich. Yeah, Bubich.
Maybe the Booby. And Hernandez.
Oh, God.
And
Hernandez.
Oh, good gosh.
And Brady Singer, hopefully he can get his shit together.
Gosh.
Yeah.
This is sad, Tanner. This is
pathetic.
Sad.
No, this is...
And I don't know what to say, but it's sad.
Build for the future. I'm going to cram it down your throats until you get tired of listening to me.
I'm actually in favor. I know we just got Andrew Benintendi literally 1 year ago. I'm actually cool with selling high on him right now.
Everybody should be high on it.
You know what you got to do, and you don't want to do it. You got to go a different route and get rid of Dayton Moore. You gotta.
Is he the problem?
He's the guy keeping everybody.
Sure.
He built us that World Series team, but then he's starting all over again.
People crowned him back in the day.
Yeah,
as being a genius.
Guess what? Thank you for the World Series.
He's a genius.
Thank you for the playoffs. It's time to go. We need a new face in here.
So you're saying that you think he's getting a little bit too cocky now that he's got the World Series ring under his ass.
Not cocky. I just think it's time for a change in the front office.
You may be right on that.
It really
actually.
is.
You may be
otherwise,
right
you're going to see Scott Barlow, Chris Bubick, Dylan Coleman still in there. Carlos Hernandez is still going to be there. You don't want those guys there.
The only way I would disagree with you is if I want to see some movement at the trade deadline.
I could see Stalmont.
If there's no movement at the trade deadline, I want Dayton Moore out of here.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to see it.
People are also already calling for John Sherman, the owner, to be. Which he bought the team 2 years ago, so he's like, they're already calling for him to be.
That's what I call a KC market right here.
That's like
KC fans are saying these things. Like, okay,
that's like calling for Andy Reid's ass and asking him to be fired.
Because
we need to fire Andy.
He won't run the ball. We got to fire him.
Yeah, we got to fire his ass.
We're just gonna go out on the street and find a better one.
Those rumors.
People just talking. Fans being fans, but
look,
some of them.
If you want to be mad at Sherman, be mad at him for making the rumors of a downtown stadium. They'll be mad for him that team.
That's not a rumor. That's going to happen. But you got to wait like 10 years.
Should be mad about.
You got to wait 10 fucking years.
That's a different topic for a different day. And the bastards that work on the radio stations are all in favor of it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And they need to fuck off about it. Yeah, I'm getting sick of hearing about it. They're all morons. So
break up the
day. We might be buffoons, but we're not just freaking stupid like some of these guys on 810 and 610 that actually think it was a great idea to build a downtown stadium and move Arrowhead out to the fucking Legends.
Let me just go in and Uber downtown because you have nowhere to park.
I can't stand them.
Hey, what's going to happen to tailgating? Oh, not existent because you're downtown.
Whatever. I need a goddamn drink. And you know what that reminds me of, guys? I had something I thought about earlier today. I'm going to pour myself a drink while you guys answer, as a matter of fact. And my question for you guys today, so speaking of the NBA, obviously the second game of tonight is now on. Golden State Warriors going off against Memphis Grizzlies. And while this game's on in the background, I wanted to ask you guys, so if you could call up any NBA player right now while drunk, now let's assume we're all drunk, Tanner, even you with your Diet Pepsi, and you could give them advice, who would it be? So you're sitting here at home. You're like, man, I really need to get a hold of this guy. And you're sipping on some whiskey or whatever. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to call him up. Give me his number. I'm going to call him up. And you have the best advice in the world for this person as a player.
NBA, right?
In the NBA.
In the NBA.
I want to know who you would call and what you would say to them. Who you would call, what you would say to this person. So I think, Jason, start me off. I want to hear your story of who you would call and what you'd say.
That's a no-brainer. I'm going with the great Wilt Chamberlain. I would call him up drunk and be like, dude, how in the hell did you hit on 20,000 hookers and get all of them laid? Like, that would blow my mind. But for real, like, if I had to pick one guy that's in the NBA right now that I would get hammered and have a conversation with, you guys know who it is before you even ask the question. It's my new favorite player in the NBA. It's Jordan Poole of the Golden State Warriors. And the reason I would want to call up and talk to him while I'm hammered is because we all know that when you're drunk, you like to speak with your head, but you also like to speak with your heart. And I'm speaking from the heart. If I had to put out a phone call to this guy, because he is my new favorite player in the league. He averaged 18.5 points per game this season. He is now the third Splash Brother. And in the playoffs, his playoff average is higher. As a 23-year-old, it's higher than his regular season points per game, which is like the complete opposite of James Harden. Now, granted, that's a small sample size, but 22 points per game in the playoffs, I would call this guy up and be like, dude, you're now a part of the Splash Brothers. Be the best Splash Brother of all time. And honestly, when Clay and Steph are long gone, 3 to 5 years from now, Jordan Poole is going to be the leader of that backcourt on the Golden State Warriors. He's got a 34% career three-point percentage. You know what he is in the playoffs? Small sample size. Invert that. It's 43%. So he's only played in a couple of games in the playoffs, but he has elevated his game. So his percentages go up during the playoffs, whereas a guy like James Harden, formerly known as James Harden, his percentages go down in the playoffs. Jordan Poole is 23 years old, guys, and he's an up-and-coming star or superstar, however you want to look at it. And that would be the first guy that if I got drunk, I would want to call and have a conversation with him and just be, not even to motivate the guy, because he doesn't need the motivation. Just be like, hey, bro, keep doing what you're doing. You are freaking amazing.
Yeah, Jason, whenever I'm drunk, normally I think with my heart and my head, but not the one that's on my shoulders. So I totally understand where you're coming from and that whole sentiment you're talking about there.
Hey,
so.
real quick here, Carlos Chavez, the bad New Yorker. He's on with Keith Ingle, TGI Sports Friday. He says his advice would be Embiid and tell him to leave Philly. And then he also asked Jason, who is Jordan Poole? Come on, man, are you drunk? So,
well, the point is he's supposed to be drunk for his phone call. So, Tanner, let's get you all tipsy over here, fill you up with wine and liquor, and I want to hear who you'd be calling up and what you tell them.
Wait, before you go, the person that asked me who Jordan Poole is, call us back in like about a year and a half and ask me that same question. It's probably going to be a household name.
We'll see here. All right, my guy here. I'd sit there and probably drink some Forester whiskey, and I'd be calling. I thought this was a playoff edition, by the way. That's what I asked in the chat, but I'll still go with it.
Just say Will Chamberlain. Just say Will Chamberlain.
All you need is any NBA player, past, present, just alive.
Just say I want to ask Will Chamberlain how to get laid.
I don't want Will Chamberlain's like daughter answering the phone to be like, "I'm drunk."
No. I thought it was like
someone who's alive that can answer their own.
I thought it was a current playoff edition. That's what I'm saying.
No, the hot takes were Taryn. Come on.
Take old players.
Anyways, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I probably still call this guy.
Ask Wilt how to get laid.
Call him, Tanner.
I just saw this guy play here. I'm gonna give a call to Al Horford.
Ooh, I like that one.
And I'll be like, "Hey, dude, you're playing pretty decent right now in the playoffs, but I need you to pick it up because guess what? This is the best team that you've had and the best chance that you have to win a championship. So let's go ahead and out there and help the Tatum and Jaylen Brown boys and get them going. So play like you did with the Hawks back in the good old days.
Well, I tell you what, he didn't pick up the pace tonight.
He had a couple great plays at the end.
41 fucking minutes, and he had 8 points.
Hey, 2 days. What was it? 2 days ago, he had a great game.
He did. Right? He did. He has it still. He took care of Giannis, and that's what I'm saying. Like I'd be telling Al, like, hey man, go out there and play with
He took care of Giannis on one play.
That's all I want.
One play.
He took care of it on the second play.
He dunked on his ass the last game, and now he shit the bed in this game.
Old man Horford. Let's go up, baby. Time to play like you did with the Hawks because you have the best team. You have a chance because you're probably gone after this year.
Well, you better do it now or never, basically.
That's right.
For Al Horford.
He did have 8 rebounds. Like he is a pretty good role player.
He's a great role player.
He's a good role player.
I don't have a problem with him at all. You guys know out there, I'm a Suns fan, so obviously I'm out here rooting for my boys out there. And so I'm just using that as a preface for what I'm about to say right here because my guy that I would call is LeBron James. Absolutely LeBron James. Hold on, before I get going, what did our guys say?
He said Horford's an old man, and Carlos also said it'll be 2 drunk men talking to each other.
You think Al Horford's drunk too? Maybe that's part of it. Tanner, you call him drunk, he's already drunk too. That'd be amazing, actually.
Dude, that guy looks like he's been sober his whole life.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever had a
drink.
Okay, well.
So why are you calling LeBron?
I'm calling up LeBron. And I just want to tell him if he ever wants to win again or even cares about winning again, he needs to stop trying to load his team up with old bums. And that's the problem LeBron has right now. He got this Lakers team together. He basically became Mr. GM. And
GM, that's his name now.
And loaded it up with GM players that he wanted to get. He wanted to go after, create a super team. And what they created was a bunch of morons who couldn't work together. And what he needs to be doing, if he ever wants to win again and actually care about it, he needs to ask for young, driven guys to be on his roster. Young guys with something to prove. They want to win a ring that never have.
So
that goes a long way.
So when Chris Paul leaves, join the Suns.
Hold on.
Oh man,
Tanner, don't steal my thunder here.
But,
all I can say about this is that once LeBron is on a younger team with
GM, let's just call him what he is.
Moving guys, he can then delegate more often and not feel pressure to score 30 points a game. He can also have 8.5 assists per game, just like Chris Paul, by the way, Tanner. He needs to leave the Lakers and get on up and an incoming team, a young team, not saying the Suns are young necessarily, but they're young enough. And when Chris Paul retires, that's right, Tanner, send his ass to the Suns.
I love the fact.
We saw that from a mile away. The audience saw it from a mile away. Jason saw it a mile away. I saw it a mile away.
With LeBron James.
I love the fact that we can't figure out what his name is anymore. I thought it was LeBrick, and then all of a sudden it was LeGM, and now it's Legon because he's Legon from the playoffs.
If he wants to win another ring, go to a team with young guys who care about winning. Not a bunch of old bums. Don't create a little super team where you guys go out and party every night. Seriously, have guys who care about what they're doing with their lives in their mid-20s, like a Devin Booker, like a DeAndre Ayton, and you could probably even keep Crowder there for another year. Now, I know he's like 30, but, whatever.
But LeBron ain't going anywhere.
I am happy that you would watch.
Because he doesn't care about winning anymore, Tanner.
I'm happy. I'm interested in that thought, though. I think, after Jordan Poole, I think LeBron would be my second choice to call up drunk because I would want to ask him one question and one question only. Why would you want to make a trade for Russell Westbrook? Yes, I called him by his real name. And then ask for another trade to get rid of Russell Westbrook while giving away draft picks. Why would you do that as a GM? That would be my best drunk question to ask for LeBron because it's actually a legitimate question because he's a god-awful GM.
He just wants to have fun with a bunch of guys who he kind of grew up with in a lot of ways.
While he makes movies, right? He's making a lot more money making these amazing.
Make another Space Jam.
And all these movies are so amazing. Like, have you seen any of his movies? Like, he's making so much money.
I watched Space Jam. I watched Space Jam 2.
Oh, that was the greatest movie. One of the greatest movies ever, right? It was
adorable.
Carlos says the Lakers suck with Davis, LeBron, and Russell. LeBron has wines and tons of wine. That man is the person to drink with. So.
LeBron. I would love to have wine with LeBron.
Oh, I would too.
Yeah, I wonder if we could keep up with. How many bottles a guy that's 6'8" would go through?
We'll put it down. All right, guys. So we got about 7 minutes left here for our next topic.
Wow, you are giving us actual countdown.
Well, anyways, I don't want to get yelled at today.
Hey guys, all I want to know from here on, as we close up the show here today, just your quick thoughts, Jason. Obviously, now Milwaukee just got a victory over the Celtics. Now that that's been settled and figured out, I want to know your thoughts currently, and I want to stand here a round table for a minute.
I think the Bucks have it. I mean, I picked the Bucks in 6 from the very beginning, and then as the series moved along, as I stated earlier, Drew Holiday was playing like shit, and now he's actually showing up. I do believe that he will show up in that next game at home for Milwaukee, and I just think they're the better team. And, as much as I love the Celtics, I love the defense that they bring to the table. I'm not going to be shocked if the Celtics win this series, but I still believe that Giannis is the best player on the best team in that series. So as long as Giannis and Drew Holiday show up for the rest of the series, I'm going to go with the Bucks here.
You said this about 2 months ago, by the way. You saw a repeat of last year's finals. Do you see that coming again? Because you said at one point 2 months ago, you saw the Bucks versus the Suns repeat as your finals championship.
I appreciate you bringing that up because I did say that in the preseason. But in the preseason, I had no idea about my new favorite player, Jordan Poole. I had no idea that he was going to bounce onto the scene and just start raining threes the way that he does. And the other thing that I didn't know was that Andrew Wiggins would actually be an all-star and a legitimate player in the league who could actually play defense.
Yep.
And so, we all find new bits of information throughout the season, and that's why I had the Suns. And we didn't know about Klay Thompson. for all I knew, Klay Thompson was going to, just be half of what he used to be. Now Klay Thompson is showing up to the table. And so, going back to what I said in the preseason, yeah, I mean, that was the correct pick. But now, I mean, you got to go Golden State all the way.
I got you. Yeah, I like that, actually. I mean, you're right about that. It's good to, learn new bits of information and pick apart what things, new information that comes along. It reminds me a little bit of the pandemic and just, eventually weeding through all the bullshit to find the truth. So, Tanner, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, did we get his final predictions of each series real quick?
We don't know.
So Game 7 Sunday for everybody.
We don't need to go through every series.
Well, I already told you the Bucks are going to win the series.
Right.
So
we know that one.
By the way, while we're in Tulsa Saturday, there's no games.
Saturday,
there's no games.
Well, Sunday there.
Friday night and Sunday there's 3 games.
The Suns play again.
We'll be live. We're going to go live
Sunday
for at least 20 minutes, so it doesn't matter.
So, just FYI on that. I think Golden State closes it out probably tonight. And if not Friday.
John Morant's not playing.
Yeah, so I think Golden State has that series. My big thing to watch here is that 76ers Heat matchup to see who really pulls ahead here. I think the Heat end up winning through Game 7 here on Sunday. I think you are going to see 3 games on Sunday. The Bucks, Celtics, 76ers, Heat, Mavericks, Suns. And I think you're going to see the Celtics, Heat, and the Suns all win.
One quick point that I want to bring up about Miami, and this was supposed to be one of my hot takes, but I had too many damn hot takes. I couldn't fit them into the show. The Miami Heat have NBA Finals experience. People forget about that. They played the Lakers in the finals in the bubble 2 years ago. And so with that experience and with all of the dogs that are on that team, they could easily win the championship, guys. This is not like a long shot like we saw in the Kentucky Derby the other day. They could actually win a championship because they play defense. They show up to the game every day. Even if they're shooting like ass, they still play defense.
Yep.
And that's why they match up well with anybody, including Golden State, if that were the finals matchup. So I do believe the Miami Heat are just as good. They have just as good of a chance as anyone to win the championship this year.
We'll save this for a later show, by the way, but I said this to him as well. I know he understands that the Heat were a finals contender at one point. Well, the Suns were just there last year. So they should also still have the same drive to go back and win it all.
They do.
And become my 2015 Royals.
Oh, they got the
as
drive.
I've been saying for the past 6 months.
They got plenty of drive, and they also have a 50-year-old CP3. That's the problem.
Not worried about that.
Mike, what's your final synopsis?
Final synopsis. I think the Suns pull this thing out. Might go to Game 7. Obviously, I got the Warriors moving on after beating Memphis here, possibly tonight. We'll see, depending on how the referees feel. And I still have to hold true to my hot take from earlier. I still have to say Celtics now got to win 2 in a row and fulfill what they're here for. So I got to still stick with it because I said it 45 minutes ago.
The Phoenix Suns series is a joke. I mean, can we just get it over with already?
No, we got to extend that out.
This should have been a gentleman's sweep or a sweep. It's an absolute joke.
Wow.
They put CP3 in foul trouble in the game before the last game.
Well, tell them to stop fouling.
I think it's
Game 3 was horrible.
Why do the referees hate CP3 so much that they have to ruin him and make him use all that energy in a 7-game series?
I just want to know, did you actually watch Game 3?
No, I wasn't able to watch
Oh,
it.
my God.
It's a fucking joke.
But I heard it.
I know. I watched every single Suns game.
I saw some highlight plays during it, and when CP3 fouled out, I watched that.
It was some messed up
I was like,
stuff.
you got to be kidding
It
me.
was some messed up stuff.
If Dorian Smith has 24 points and they beat the Suns, and then all of a sudden now it's a 2-2 series, that series is a joke, right? There's nobody else. Jalen Brunson is not a good player on the road, okay?
No.
He only shows up at home. You've got one guy on that team, which is Luka. There's no way in hell that this should be a 6. It shouldn't even be a 6-game series. It's an absolute joke.
Well, I want to thank our commenters, Carlos, Peachhead, and Mr. A.C. Rager.
Regier, by the way, for you.
Regier?
Regier.
Yeah. All right, my bad. All right.
It's Regier.
Appreciate
What
you
up,
guys commenting.
AC? What up?
But yeah, guys, make sure you follow us here, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. Let's Talk Sports as well. Actually, I think I am going to hop on Saturday morning still and do our take there.
If you guys want to see us do a show in Tulsa, leave a comment right now, and we will do a show from Tulsa probably after a few beer.
20 minutes max.
birds.
20 minutes
birds.
max.
We're gonna do it for like 3
Let us know,
hours.
and we'll happily do
But
that.
let us know. But appreciate you follow the content here. We'll be back Monday night. Me and Jason here for our NBA discussion.
Cheers, bro.
And I'll see
We're
you
out.
on the next one.